At the end of last year, I finally reached my goal of getting to $1 million in funding and earning over $250,000 in payouts in just 12 months. And I did it with every single trade taken live on YouTube so everybody could see. Now on top of that, I only have to trade for a few hours a day and I built my dream life out here in Cyprus. But here's what nobody tells you. I didn't do that because I found a better strategy. I was only able to achieve these goals when I removed 4 limiting beliefs from my trading that 99% of traders are still stuck with. Because you see, 3 years ago, I was a trainee solicitor in Leeds. I was trying to fit trading in around my 9 to 5 to the point where I was trading on the way home from work, blowing accounts and buying new ones before I even got home. Now this cycle would repeat until I found a new strategy that I was convinced was going to be the next thing that worked, and it never was. The only way I actually made progress and became profitable was when I removed these 4 limiting beliefs. So if you watch the rest of this video, I'm going to break down what those beliefs were that were keeping me stuck, tell you how you can get over them, and tell you the exact framework that I used to go from $0 to $1 million in funded capital. So let's get into it. Now the first belief that was stuck in my head and caused me so many issues was that trading is gambling. And it sounds counterintuitive because I was trying to become a trader, but I didn't even believe trading was possible and I still thought it was gambling. And you might feel the same right now, and that makes complete sense because in all likelihood, trading is gambling for you. And for most traders out there, it absolutely is. If you're trading with a system that lacks data, you're trading with odds that you don't know and a system that isn't profitable, then you are essentially gambling because you don't know the odds behind your system. You're not making decisions based on probability. You're making decisions based off of intuition, gambling, or just hoping the market goes in one direction or the other. So for most people, yes, trading is gambling. And it wasn't until I realized that I needed to eliminate the gambling aspect of my trading that I was able to become profitable. Because you see, trading stops being gambling the moment you have a system with repeatable data where you know the outcome of every single decision. And so what did I do? I very simply went ahead and journaled all of my trades from that point onwards. I went ahead and tried to collect as much statistical data as possible. And up until that point, I realized after a couple of months of journaling, I was unprofitable. So I'd been trading all of this time with a system that was unprofitable for absolutely no reason. I was essentially burning money. And when you journal your trades and start to collect data, what happens is either you realize you're profitable and that the data is in your favor, and in that case, the emotions and the psychology issues completely disappear. And we'll get onto that a little bit later. Or you figure out that your strategy and your system is unprofitable, and you realize, why would I even trade with this when it's statistically showing me I'm going to lose money every single month? So I started to collect data and refine my strategy until it was in fact profitable. And that's when the gambling disappeared, because now, why would I take a trade outside of my strategy when I know the most likely thing to make me money is my strategy? And that's something that most traders are getting stuck on, because the real problem is they don't understand that data is the key to all of their problems. And it makes sense. And that brings me on to actually my next point, which is leading on from this, is the next belief that I had, which was causing so many issues for me, was that I thought that more screen time, more learning, more backtesting, more time on the charts meant I was going to be more profitable. And it makes sense because in any other job, in any other pursuit, the more time you put into it, the more money you make. If you're a salesman, the more calls you make, the more money you make. If you're an engineer, the more hours you put in, the more money you make. If you're a lawyer, the more hours you bill, the more money you make. Trading is the only career where the more hours you put in means the less money you make. Because the more hours you spend on the chart means the more decisions you have to make, which means the likelihood of you making a bad decision is so much higher. And I didn't realize this for the longest time. I'm a determined person, I'm locked in, I'm so focused on achieving my goals that I decided I was going to give trading absolutely everything. So I sat down on the charts all day, every day, as whenever I could, on my lunch break, after work, before work, and I tried to just grind it out. Inevitably, I realized that this is not how you become a profitable trader, because what happened then is I was first of all getting burnt out and fatigued, and then I was blowing my accounts after making profit for the day. I'd take a win in the morning, and I would go ahead and go to work and see a setup whilst I was meant to be working, and I would take it, lose money, and then the cycle would repeat and repeat and repeat. And not only did that impact my work life, but it also ruined my trading, because if I would have understood that less is more, all I would have had to have done is very simply take that one trade in the morning or on my lunch break and be done for the day, and it would have sped up my journey so much faster. Because you see, trading is the only career where there are genuinely no shortcuts. And in fact, taking the slow route, taking the longest path, is actually the quickest route to profitability. Because the more shortcuts you try and take, the more corners you try and cut, all you end up doing is blowing accounts, over risking on your positions, or over trading, which sets you back even further than if you'd done absolutely nothing that day. And I'm sure you will relate, because I'm sure you've had days right now where you get to the charts, you take a win, and then you end up forcing positions, and you end up negative for the day. And you think to yourself, had I have just not traded at all today, had I have just forgotten about the charts, I would have been in a better position than where I am right now. And until I realized that, that was when I really started to understand, okay, this is a different game we're playing right now. Trading is not like my work. It's not like any other career. And in fact, I need to understand that I have to play this game differently. And even further from that as well, the more hours you spend learning stuff in your trading, the more complicated it gets. And I'll give you an example, because I get so many students that come to me and they say to me, I know every strategy. I've learned ICT, I've learned Wyckoff, I've learned standard deviation, and I just can't get it all out my head. I see everything now mixed up into one. And when you spend that much time on YouTube, flipping between strategies, trying to absorb all of the information, what ends up happening is you simply confuse yourself to the point where now you come to the charts, you see 10,000 different things, the analysis paralysis sets in, and you are cooked. Whereas now, with me, all I know is TRLS concepts. I never learned another strategy profitably, so the only thing I know profitably is TRLS concepts. So when I get to the charts, all I see are sky dwellers, liquidity sweeps, fake outs, whatever it may be. All I see is what I know how to trade, and there's no analysis paralysis whatsoever. And the reason that happened is because before I became profitable, I realized I needed to lock in and just learn one strategy properly until it was actually profitable. And that really caused me to go ahead and actually make massive leaps in my trading, because now I wasn't spending time learning. I was simply jumping on the charts, waiting for my setup, taking it, journaling it, moving on, and doing other stuff in my life. And that was such an absolute game changer for me. And that brings me on to the next point, because what I've just taught you there is going to fix the third issue that I was having within my trading, the third limiting belief. And the third limiting belief is that you need to have a better trading psychology in order to become profitable. And I'm going to tell you right now, trading psychology does not exist. There is no such thing as FOMO, greed, fear. It doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is you not having enough data behind your trades. And I'll tell you why. Because before I became profitable, when I was working at the law firm, I had no definition of what a setup was. I didn't have a set entry model. All I knew were these concepts, these things that I'd been taught from YouTube that I was then looking at on the charts. And then I was using my intuition to try and piece them together and guess where the market was going to go. And what ended up happening was, every setup, I was thinking to myself, oh no, am I right? Am I a good enough trader? What if I made the wrong decision? And I guarantee that's what you're thinking to yourself too. But you see, what actually you need to do is you need to go ahead and collect data on your system. You need to find one entry model. You need to trade with that entry model for the next 1 or 2 months without even thinking about passing a funded account or getting a payout. Forward testing is 1,000 times better than back testing, so go and do that for a month or 2. I know a lot of you are lazy. And if you watching this video right now are lazy, then maybe you're not cut out for it. But if you're truly dedicated to becoming profitable, spend the next month or 2 forward testing your system. And that way, you can either see one of 2 things, like I said earlier. Either the system is profitable, and then what happens is, you get to the charts, you know all you have to do is take that one entry model. And when you take it, you know that you have the most valid stop loss, you have the most valid TP, and you know that over 1,000 trades, that entry model is going to be profitable. So why would you have emotions in that position when you know for a fact you are going to be profitable? It makes no sense. If someone came to you and they said, okay, some days I'm gonna give you money, some days I'm gonna take your money away, but by the end of the year, you're gonna have more in your bank than when I started. You wouldn't worry about when they came and took a little bit away. The same way that the casino doesn't worry when someone wins big on blackjack, because they know that over the next couple of weeks, over the thousands of hands that are being played, they are going to make their money back. And trading with a profitable edge and statistical data is the exact same. Once you know you have a profitable edge, you don't worry about losses anymore. You don't worry about revenge trading, because you know if you take a loss with your system, the next 100 trades are going to make up for it plus way more. And that is purely it. That is trading, and that is how you remove the psychological failure from your brain, okay? Because if your brain doesn't know the odds, if it doesn't have any data to make its decisions off of, it freaks out, it assumes a worst case scenario, and it goes ahead and ends up causing these negative habits, this revenge trading, FOMO, etc. Or alternatively, when you start to collect data, what's going to happen is you realize your system is not profitable, like I said earlier, and then you have to make refinements, and you've saved yourself money, because now you're not going to go ahead and trade on that funded account with an unprofitable system for the next 2 months. Why would you do that? You're going to go ahead and refine it until it is profitable, and then refer back to what I said earlier about how easy it is to trade. And that's exactly what I did, because I knew for a fact I was trading unprofitably, so I collected data, built a system that was profitable, and from that point onwards, I've never really struggled with psychological issues, revenge trading, anything like that, because I know for a fact every time I take a position, I'm going to make money over the extended period of time. And it really was that simple. But before that, I just couldn't control my emotions. I was revenge trading, I was FOMOing in, I was risking way, way, way too much. So if you're struggling with fear psychology, or you think that you need a better psychology to become a profitable trader, go ahead and work on your system, collect data, and that's going to fix it all for you. And the final limiting belief that I had in my trading that really caused me issues for the longest time was that I thought that the profitable traders I was seeing on social media were different to me. They were wired differently, they were different in terms of their mindset, or maybe even more intelligent than me. And I quickly realized that that is not the case, and I'll explain to you why that is. Because if you're someone who thinks that when you see me in a video or any other profitable trader, that I'm different to you, that I'm wired differently, I have a different approach to the way I think about the markets. I guess that's true now, but it wasn't true back in the day. It's truly a learned skill and something that you can go ahead and master when you come to the charts. Because, in fact, profitable traders aren't different to you in any way. They are just a couple of steps ahead in their journey. They approach the charts differently because they've gone through the process of exactly what I've taught you. They've gone through the data collection, they've gone through all of the trial and error. And as well as that, it's just confirmation bias, because all you see online for most people, not in my case, but for most people, the only thing you see online is the wins, the payouts, the profits. Most traders, unlike me, won't share the losses or the hard times. I share that because I truly want you to succeed, and I truly want you to become profitable. And I think it's very important that you know there are downsides to this business. But a lot of the time what you're doing is you're comparing your chapter 1 to the final chapter in someone else's book. I've been trading for 6 years. I've been refining this strategy for multiple years. And I'm so much further ahead in the journey than you are. But that's purely because I've put in the time, I've put in the reps, and I've been applying the system in a disciplined manner for the last couple of years. But I used to hold the limiting belief that, yeah, I was unable to become profitable because maybe I wasn't wired the same as all of these traders I was seeing online. However, that's purely not the case. Because you think these traders are wired differently, because you think they're smarter than you or they have a different mindset, you are stopping your brain from adapting and creating that mindset. Because these traders weren't born with the ability to read the markets, or I wasn't born with the ability to stay profitable and stay disciplined. Like I've told you throughout this video, I struggled with it so much. But what I did was I learned that skill. I removed the belief that these traders were better than me. I understood that I was just the same as them. They were just further in their journey. And once I removed that belief, all that happened was I unlocked the ability in my brain to learn the skills that I needed, to become neuroplastic, to be able to develop my trading skills and build on my psychology, build on my habits, build on my approach to the market. And until you realize that you are no different to me or any other trader, that will not happen. You will purely be stopping yourself from actually adapting and overcoming the markets. So we've discussed 4 limiting beliefs today. We've discussed that trading is gambling. We've discussed that you need a better trading psychology. We've discussed that these traders are no better than you that you're seeing online. And if you can learn to remove those limiting beliefs and you can learn to go ahead and understand that anything is truly possible as a trader, then what's going to happen is you're going to unlock the ability in your brain to adapt, to become better, to collect that data, to stay disciplined on the charts. And if you can truly do that, brother, then I will see you exactly in my place in the next couple of years. And if you want to learn the exact system that I used to do just that, I want to help you out even further. And that's why I'm hosting completely for free a live masterclass this Sunday. And I'm going to take you through the entire system I taught you today. I'm going to take you through learning my entry model. I'm going to take you through how to collect data and refine your strategy. And then I'm going to take you through how I get funded up to $1 million using simple systems, data, and stuff that is not going to cause you any psychological issues whatsoever. You're going to trade with peace and ease because you know for a fact the data, the maths, and the strategy is behind you. Now, if you want to join that free webinar absolutely for free, all you have to do is click the top link in the description. And other than that, drop a like on this video and I'll see you in the next one.